Do y'all think that the better team won, or was this just a bad game?
They got a cloud hanging over their head.
You execute when you're supposed to execute, and we didn't do that. They were the better team in that game.
All right, well, what's up, everybody? It's the most wonderful time of the year, playoff and bowl games everywhere you look. I didn't play the song this time. Look, we're soon going to be at that time of year where you have absolutely no idea what day it is, and football will be on 24/7. So, looking forward to that. We've got quite a lot to unpack in this bowl preview episode, including an inside scoop from our special guests on one of the teams that'll be playing a first round playoff game. But first, let's say hi to our incredible co-host, Jesse. How's it going?
Good. I already don't know what day it is. I showed up at a hair appointment. That's not today. So it's fine. I went to the wrong location of another appointment. So we are out here.
Good times.
And just actively looking forward to Friday and anxious.
Understand. Matt, what's going on, my friend?
Well, just trying to stay warm. It's been real cold down here, or at least Georgia cold. A lot of people are like, "Well, it's so cold." I'm like, "This is a warm spring day in Alaska. It's not that bad." But aside from that, we're good. We're making it. Not really looking forward to this bowl season because reasons, but we'll discuss.
I understand. Well, we have no games to talk about from last week. We already talked about all of those. Let's go ahead and get into our previews, and we'll talk about those upcoming playoff and bowl games.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
All right. Well, first we have number 9, Alabama, 10-3, at number 8, Oklahoma, 10-2. This is a CFP first round game, Friday, December the 19th. It'll be here very soon. At 8 p.m. on ABC. Matt, let's go with you. What is your prediction for this one?
Listen, these two teams already locked up earlier in the season. And obviously, we saw what the result of that was. But I feel like after the abysmal play at Bama during the SEC championship game, I feel like they got their feelings hurt a little bit. I think that's going to make them focus a little bit better. And I think Bama's going to find a way to win this one. I know that everybody's picking Oklahoma, including you two, apparently. But I like Bama here. So give me Bama 24-21.
Jesse, I see what you've put, and I do not believe my eyes, but we'll get there. I know it's tough. We talked about this a little bit in our interview with our guest this week. I know it's tough to beat a team twice in the same season, but I think Oklahoma figured out a little bit of a formula for success against Alabama last time, and I think maybe the SEC championship also might have provided a little bit of a blueprint for Oklahoma to see where they can stop Bama. Even if Jam Miller is healthy, they didn't run it super well with him, and Daniel Hill, I mean, to his credit, has emerged even as a good, if not better, option at running back for them. So I'm not sure how much that may affect things. We'll see. Still, I don't think Oklahoma's offense is explosive enough to pull too far ahead of Bama. So I think this one's going to still be pretty close. So I'm going Oklahoma, but in a typical Oklahoma fashion, kind of exciting, lots of defense. I'm going Oklahoma here 24-21. Jesse?
Yeah, this one's a tough one. I think Matt, already said kind of where I'm leaning. Alabama has looked rough in the past couple games. We will have Jam Miller back. We still don't have Overton. We may not have Cuevas. We just still have a lot of people out. I think it helps us that so many did not think Alabama deserved to be in the playoffs. And historically, that has really helped the team get motivation, get ready for a game. But I just don't know that this team is going to overcome a lot of the self-inflicted wounds on the coaching side and on the player side. I don't know. I'm just not confident in our ability to go into Norman and to put together a game that we should put together. So unfortunately, I think the Sooners are going to take this one. I think this game is going to be a defensive game, just like we saw last time. I do not think that the run game for either team is going to be a huge factor. And I think that OU's pass rush is going to be a thing. So I'm picking Sooners 21-17, and it makes me want to puke.
I understand. I understand completely. So that one should be an exciting one, and that's the only playoff game that's on Friday. So
Mhm.
the rest of them are on Saturday, which we'll discuss here. Number 10, Miami, 10-2 at number 7, Texas A&M, 11-1. Also, CFP first round game Saturday, December 20th at noon on ABC. Matt, what you got here?
You know what? I really feel like the ACC was so bad this year. And Miami goes 10-2. Hi, Minnie. And I just cats are all making their presence known tonight. Um, I'm not sold on Miami. I feel like Carson Beck had flashes of brilliance throughout the season, but I was not really sold on his quarterback play. And I think Texas A&M is going to be loaded and loaded for bear and ready to play here. Plus, a game at Kyle Field, it's really hard to go on the road and beat Texas A&M at Kyle Field. So I like Texas A&M here. Give me Texas A&M 26-14.
All right, yeah, I think both of these teams may not be as good as we thought they were. I think A&M kind of got exposed a little bit here lately, but I think Miami is more so the team who might not be as good as we thought they were. A lot of people thought Notre Dame should have been in over them. And I honestly don't care, but Miami wants to prove they belong. So it's going to be a tough environment, though, and I like Marcel Reed and A&M's offense over Carson Beck and Miami's offense. So, and that's no shade. I'm just being as an objective observer of both of those offenses this year. That's just what I think. So I'm going to go A&M here, 27-24. Jesse?
I agree. I think you hit the nail on the head. I just don't know that Miami's been truly tested. Again, I'm not certain that A&M has either, but I do have more confidence in A&M. And so I'm going to pick the Aggies in this one pretty decidedly, 31-24.
All right. Next, number 11, Tulane, 11-2 at number 6, Ole Miss. Yeah, I know, 11-1 at this is a CFP first round game again. This is Saturday, December 20th, once again at 3:30 on TNT or HBO Max or True TV, however you choose to consume this game. Um, Matt,
It's like with March Madness when you've got like the 2:15 tip off on True TV of like Iowa and Ohio State or something. Like it's
Yeah.
just ridiculous.
Matt, what's your
Um,
prediction here?
Listen, we've already seen this game. We've
Yeah.
we've extensively gone on record as saying that Tulane and JMU are just not going to be able to haul the mustard here, and I don't think they're going to be able to hang up here. Ole Miss is going after the whole Lane Kiffin debacle. I think Ole Miss is going to be looking to send a message to the entirety of the college football world. So I like Ole Miss here big, 42-10.
Yeah, I think that's probably a pretty good prediction. Last time these two teams played, Ole Miss won 45-10. Even though Lane Kiffin is not there, I think Golding had the perfect speech for them when he basically told them, at this point, you're playing for yourself and the guy next to you. So really, as a coach who's just coming in, that kind of takes the pressure off him as that new coach, and it was like, look, you guys got to pull together. And so, it's more of a continuation of the current vibe, which was obviously working. So I think that's what he's going for with that speech. Also, Charlie Weiss will still be OC at Ole Miss until the playoff run is done. Even though they just announced that he'll officially join Lane Kiffin and LSU afterwards. So that's going to be an interesting storyline to watch, just of one of many, I suppose. But another fun one is the fact that new Florida head coach John Summerall is staying on to coach Tulane in the playoffs. So he's two hats, literally doing both jobs at once. Unfortunately, I think that might be short-lived, as I think Tulane's going to get an exit after this first round here on the road. So I'm going to go Ole Miss in a slightly smaller blowout this time. I'm going Ole Miss 35-17. Jesse?
Yeah, it's really hard to do multiple jobs at once. I also think that this game in particular is going to show the committee like, oh, maybe we should change the rules like just a little. Because
Yes, you should.
it's not only have we already seen this, but it's not going to be great. And we talked about it with Brady. Ole Miss, they were already good, but nothing quite brings you together more than hating the same person. All right. And
It's true.
all of those young men currently have one common enemy and just want to prove to him that he made the wrong decision and that they were worth staying for. We've all seen this rom-com. So I'm picking Ole Miss in this one decidedly 49-13.
Only
I had this mental picture of like the linebacker room, sitting on couches, eating ice cream, and just being like, "I thought he was the one," and just continuing to just
He told
wallow.
us he loved
Yeah,
us,
yeah.
and then he left.
this is not the typical rom-com. In this rom-com, the person picked the jerk from the city instead of the hometown hero.
Yes,
That's
yes.
a good point, Wes.
Ole Miss is about to
good
just
point.
take off her glasses and be like, "Oh my God, she was pretty this whole time."
Yeah. Um, did we finish with that one? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
I think we've said all we need
I was gonna
to on
say
that one.
I got totally off track after that, but
That
yeah, let's.
CFP game brought to you by the Hallmark Channel.
That's right. Let's talk about number 19, Virginia, 10-3 versus Missouri, 8-4, Tax Slayer Gator Bowl at Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida. Saturday, December the 27th at 7:30 on ABC. Matt, what you got for the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl?
It still kills me that the tax slayer. It just, I hate it so much. Looking back at Virginia's wins and losses, they lost to North Carolina State, they lost to Wake Forest, they lost to Duke, but they've beaten pretty much everybody else. Um, man, I'm just gonna have to go with UVA. I don't want to pick Drinky. Is what it boils down to. And
Okay.
yes, that's petty. That's super petty. But also, wait a minute. Hold on. I didn't look close enough. They did have wins over. Hold on. I lost it now. I'm completely unprepared. My apologies.
You're good.
They did have some wins over somebody, didn't they? They beat Florida State in overtime.
I mean,
They beat North Carolina in overtime. Yeah, let me go ahead and rock this back. Not UVA. I'm not going to go with UVA. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm going
okay.
to go with Missouri, but I'm going to go close here. 26-24. There we go.
All right. Yeah,
That was in real time. That was completely in real time. There was no. Just
I watched you. I watched you make a
Vibes.
pick. I watched
And
you
then-
very vehemently defend
talked
your
myself
pick,
out of it.
and
Yes.
then in real time talked yourself out of it. So, yeah, I think Virginia might have a better record and a higher ranking, but they're also playing in the ACC, which we saw was incredibly weak this year. No offense to our ACC friends out there. I don't know.
If you're an ACC fan and you're listening to this podcast, you're in the wrong neighborhood, kid.
Yeah, you just kind of got lost. It's fine.
Go
Stick
that
around
way.
if you want to. It's all good. I got the chance to see them play a few times. I just don't see anything that could stack up against a really good Missouri defense and the options that both Pabula and Ahmad Hardy offer, which I presume both of them are playing in this one. I didn't see that they weren't, unless something's changed. I do have to go with Missouri here. I'm going Emazi 28-21. Jesse, what you
Didn't
got?
like that. Didn't like that, Wes. Don't do that anymore.
I mean, Mizzou's playing an ACC team. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm picking Mizzou in this one, 35-24.
All right, that's fair. LSU next is LSU 7-5 versus number 21 Houston 9-3 at the Kinder's Texas Bowl at NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas. So a bit of a home game for Houston here. Saturday, December 27th at 9:15 on ESPN. Matt, what you got?
Little sidebar here. I think when we last talked about this bowl game, I badmouthed it by saying, it's a barbecue sauce. Like, who cares? I had some Kinders the other day. We got that for dinner to go with dinner, and it was pretty good.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. So if the Kinders folks are watching, we're always looking for sponsors. That being said, enough shilling. LSU's going to be has been and is going to be distracted by the Lane Kiffin media circus that's been going on for the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks, the last 9 years, like however long it's been going on. It feels like it's been forever. And I just, Houston's played some folks. They've won some games. They've looked decent in spots. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Houston here, especially playing in their own backyard. So Houston 28-21.
Yeah, Frank Wilson for LSU will coach this game. Garrett Nussmeier has had injury issues, so I assume we'll see Michael Van Buren, not Martin Van Buren, for LSU. On the other side,
He's been dead for a while.
been a while. A familiar face is at the quarterback position for Houston, Connor Wigman. You guys remember that name? And he has accounted for quite a bit of Houston's offense this year. Experts are picking Houston in a close one, and with LSU, at least this season, kind of floundering, I think I got to pick against the conference with this one. So I'm going to go Houston here, 21-17. Jesse?
Yeah, I agree. I think at this point, LSU, the gentlemen that are staying and are deciding to play, I just don't know that they have much motivation at this point. They've gotten the coach that they want, and they're probably just looking forward to next season and don't really care about this game, if I'm being honest. So I also think Houston has some talent on their side of the ball, and they're going to take this one. So I'm going Houston 24-17.
All right.
By
Next is
by the by, if you want a good chuckle, go Google Connor Wigman right now and look at the pictures that come up. He has the broccoli haircut, and it makes me giggle. Anyway, go ahead, Wes.
We definitely have to look that one up. Next is Tennessee 8-4 versus Illinois 8-4. Matt, you're talking about people's retinas being burned out, all orange here. The Liberty Mutual Music City Bowl at Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee, Tuesday, December the 30th at 5:30 on ESPN. Matt, what's your prediction here for your Vols?
I don't want to talk about it. Move on to Jesse.
Okay. This season,
come back to me. I have feelings. Come back
sure.
to me.
So this season, Illinois lost to Indiana. Okay. And lost to Ohio State. Okay. Washington. And then Wisconsin. So their most impressive wins are against Duke and USC. So nothing about this makes me think that they can beat Tennessee, even with Tennessee's struggles on the defensive side of the ball. That's been documented this season. So I got to go with the Vols here. UT 31-27. Jesse, what's yours?
Yeah, I have to agree. I think, yes, Illinois is obviously in the Big Ten, and we're seeing Big Ten teams in the college football playoff, but the majority of that conference is not necessarily super impressive right now. And I think Illinois might fall into that category, because if you lose to Wisconsin, I am going to pick the Vols in this one, 28-20.
Matt, let's go back to you. What you got?
I hate it. Hate it so much. I'm not real thrilled about the fact we're playing in the Music City Bowl, because every time we play in Nashville, it feels like it's just kind of if you talk to most Tennessee fans, we have there's a lot of feelings about the Music City Bowl.
You could go to Vanderbilt's Arboretum while you're up there.
I don't want to go to the dadgum Arboretum, Wes. You keep pushing the Arboretum on me. Stop it. I'm sure Diego Pavia is probably getting ready to bulldoze it and turn it into a nightclub anyway. So it's not.
That's probably one of the oldest callbacks we have on this show.
That's season 3, I think. So yes, that's an old one. Listen, Tennessee's defense, much maligned defense this season, has been well documented. I think Tennessee is going to struggle to stop Illinois' offense in spots, but I think that the offense is going to get just enough done to be able to pull out a win here. So I like Tennessee winning 26-23, but watch out for Music City Bowl shenanigans, because it always seems to happen that some weird stuff happens in that game.
Yeah. All right, let's move to number 23 Iowa 8-4 versus number 14 Vanderbilt 10-2 in the ReliaQuest Bowl at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. That's Wednesday, December the 31st at noon on ESPN. Matt, what you got for this one?
Diego Pavia has his chance to make a statement for himself and make a case for Vanderbilt getting passed over for the CFP in this game. So if he comes out slinging and they hang like 20 plus on Iowa, then they've got a bit of a claim, I think. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. Iowa historically has a pretty strong defense. I think they're going to slow Pavia down a little bit, but not enough. I like Vandy here 24-20.
Yeah, that's really what you want to do. Like, I mean, was it a couple of years ago when Georgia didn't make the CFP? You just got to come out, play your bowl game, and show everybody that you belonged there. And they broke
Apparently, you
FSU.
don't have to play your bowl game. You can just say no.
Or you could just say
Hey,
no.
oh,
Yeah.
hey, whoa, 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 leave the Notre Dame folks alone now. I got a mean comment that said we didn't like folks in on one of the TikToks.
Which
We don't need to start up that stuff.
I saw a LinkedIn article as to why teams are not playing in their championship or their bowl games. No, actually, it was another article that I got. It was like business. It wasn't LinkedIn, but anyways, they're basically saying that schools aren't playing because they're losing money because their fan bases don't go. So I don't know. I don't know how true that is, but
Okay.
interesting. Yeah, Iowa loves to play these low-scoring, scrappy games, but I'm not sure they're going to have any choice in this one. You know, like you said, Matt, Diego Pavia is going to want to end his collegiate career with a bang. So his teammates, I think, are going to want to make that happen too. So I think Iowa's going to be the unfortunate recipient of the brunt of that. I'm going to go Vandy here, 31-17. Jesse, what you got?
I think at this point, I don't know if there's anything that Diego Pavia can do that's going to turn the tides of the public opinion to be like, oh man, should have had Vandy in there. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, Iowa's ranked 23, but you beat a number 23 team that may or may not have all of their starters playing because it's a bowl game that they don't probably care about. So I don't know how it would improve anything, especially after last week.
Yeah.
But I still am going to pick the Commodores in this one. I don't think that Iowa's offense is going to stand up to the offense that they have at Vanderbilt right now. So I'm going Vandy 28-21.
Okay. And then next is number 18, Michigan, 9-3 versus number 13, Texas, 9-3. The Cheez-It Citrus Bowl at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida, Wednesday, the December the 31st at 3 p.m. on ABC. Or should we call this one like the Distractions Bowl? I don't know.
Yeah.
Matt, what you got?
You stole my thunder on that one, Wes.
Sorry.
Yeah, you want to talk about distractions? Michigan's had large distractions with the stuff that's been in the news over the last couple weeks with that business. Actually, not even just the last 4 days or so. That was a weird way to say days. Sorry. I think Texas is
Still
going to
not as
be
weird as
just
Brian
fine here.
Kelly saying family.
Family, yeah, you're right. Or the weird thing with the camera. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I like Texas here. I don't think Texas is really going to take their foot off the accelerator at all. Archie probably has himself a day, and makes a little bit of a claim that Texas is back. So Texas 30-14 here.
Yeah, I mean, with everything that's been swirling around, really, I mean, really both of these programs, if you want to look at it in long term, I mean, because obviously there's been a lot of speculation around the Texas program. Is Sark leaving? All that stuff. There's just a lot when you put both of these schools together here. But in all seriousness, I think we've seen this Michigan team sort of take a step back this year in terms of the play on the field, and Texas has had their struggles, but it's shown that they can sort of make something out of nothing, even in a few games where they probably should have lost. So. I just kind of have a feeling Texas will be able to get it done here, and they'll eat giant Cheez-Its to celebrate. So I'm going Texas here, 27-21. Jesse, what you got?
I mean, Bryce Underwood's just confirmed, I think it was today, that he's going to LSU for $20 million. So,
Oh
literally.
no.
Yikes.
So they won't have him playing. Obviously, we've touched on the distractions and the investigations that are going on at Michigan. There's just a lot going on for those young men. I would imagine most of them who were starters may not even play in this game because they don't plan on staying at the University of Michigan. So I think Texas takes this one, and I think they'll get it done 31-21.
Yeah, that's a good point because I mean they've obviously they've also launched an investigation into the AD, right? Just because how
The AD, I think, got
everything has
fired.
been handled up
That
there.
I
Yeah.
would
Has he
hope
been
the
officially
AD got
fired?
fired after
I
between
think the
the
AD's
Harbaugh
fired.
stuff and everything else. Jeez.
It's just it they are the university is looking into the athletic department as a whole. I believe the AD has been let go. There's a lot going on
Yeah,
at Michigan in the athletic department
which
right
obviously muddies the whole new coaching search too. So
Yes, it
That's
does. And their
rough
current
for
coach is
keeping
venture
people.
capitalist, who like wears like cutoffs. It's fascinating.
Yeah, so a lot going on. Um, all right, next is actually the final one that we've got to talk about here. Wake Forest, 8-4 versus Mississippi State, 5-7. Yes, because they're inviting teams that are sub 500 because some teams are saying no, thank you. Actually, Auburn was one of those teams that said no, thank you. They could have played in a bowl game, and they didn't.
Yeah.
This is the Duke's Mayo Bowl
Hmm.
at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. Friday, January the 2nd at 8 p.m. on ESPN. Yeah, this is one of those novelty ball games with food being dumped on people afterwards. Matt, what's your take on this one?
I will never forget when Maryland won the Duke's Mayo Bowl a couple years ago, and Loxley ended up getting mayonnaise dumped all over his bald head. That was an awful experience. Anyway,
Shane
um,
Beamer's had it done to him also, I believe.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, he has.
People just eat
Um,
vats of it.
yeah, like what are we doing? Like I like mayonnaise just as much as the next tubby guy, but jeez. Also, giant baked cheese that sound awful. Just FYI. Just sounds like a texture nightmare. Anyway, I digress from the food. Um, yeah, I just think Wake Forest, the ACC has been obviously down this year, but Wake Forest won 8 games. Mississippi State has struggled in spots. They were competitive in some of those games. But it took a long time to get that first SEC win for Miss State. So I like Wake here, 21-14.
Yeah, I know Mississippi State has had their struggles this year, but honestly, they do look like they have taken strides in the right direction, which is encouraging. Blake Shapen won't play in this game as he's training for an All-Star game, getting ready for Pro Day, all that stuff. Kamario Taylor has shown that he's pretty good, though, and I think the team is in good hands with him. Wake Forest, on the other hand, has lost to NC State, Georgia Tech, Florida State, and Duke. So most of those losses are to decent teams, but I mean, I think if we're comparing these two kind of mid-tier teams right now, Mississippi State, to me, has the edge. So I'm going to go Mississippi State here, 34-31, and a kind of close one. Jesse, what you got?
Yeah. I mean, I like that pick. I wish I could make that pick, but I don't know that I confidently can. So I'm gonna agree with Matt on this one. I think I'm gonna go Wake Forest 24-13.
All right. Well, that does it for the bowls and our previews and our picks for them. Let's go ahead and get into a fun interview with our very special guest. All right. Well, he's been on the show many times, but just in case there are any new people joining us today we're honored to welcome Brady of Through the Keyhole, an Oklahoma podcast. We're excited to talk playoffs and a lot more. Welcome back, Brady.
Howdy, folks. How are we doing? Thank you for letting me jump back on the show. A lot more of an enjoyable listen this year, listening to you guys than the hellscape that was OU season last year, where, and admittedly, like I understood why. Man, they're not talking about OU at all on this show. It's like, why would they? OU was awful last year.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
A
I
lot
think
more
you
fun
even
this year.
I think you even made the comment that when you were on earlier this year, you're like, "Yeah, I didn't get an invite back last year. What's up with that?" So yeah, but yeah, we're
Well, hold on.
excited to talk
Real,
about it
real
right now. What's
quick.
up?
Brady, isn't this the third time you've been on?
Ooh, it's at least three, maybe four.
I think four. I think this
Yeah.
would be my
Close to
fourth.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So he's
I think we
well
can
into
officially.
the friend of the show
I think
talk.
he's
Yeah,
an official friend of the show at this point.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
well, congratulations, Brady. We'll put your jacket in the mail here in the next week or two.
Yeah, that's like the old SNL skit. Tom Hanks had like what was it? Like you've hosted the show now 5 times. You get to join like the VIP club. Okay,
Right.
yeah. Just wanted to check the box of jumping back on the show in December because that means OU's playing important football.
That's right. Well, I mean, kind of to that point, like take us through Oklahoma's journey this season from obviously some exciting games early on to working through Mateer's injury there, to being on the outside looking in the CFP rankings in week 11 and 12, and to now being locked into that round one playoff spot. Like, take us through what that feels like.
Yeah, it was, quite the roller coaster of a season. And I mean, obviously you guys remember just from the conversation, anytime you guys would, if Oklahoma ever came up, it's like, man, year one in the SEC is not going well. And it was made worse by the fact that OU's biggest rival, the University of Texas, is having a great season, and they were on their way to ultimately what the semifinal against Ohio State, where they were just a few plays away from playing in the national championship. So not a lot of fun, a lot of questions surrounding Brent Venables and his status as the head coach, and deservingly so. OU is not a place where they suffer failure for a long time. And when you have 2 6-7 seasons in 3 years, like that's not the standard. So obviously 2025 was going to be, oh yeah, 6 and 7, got to do that. 2025 was going to be a big statement for Brent Venables moving forward if it was going to work out. And you bring in Ben Arbuckle, you bring in John Mateer from Washington State. Look, Ben Arbuckle, back in the offseason, my whole thing was, yes, schematically it works. It seems to check a box. The offense, the yardage, the stats all speak for themselves. He is the first major OU coach that is younger than me. So offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, head coach, he's the first one that's younger than me. So I just kept thinking like, man, I remember when I was 29 and I don't know if I could save someone's job if I was, paid a lot of money to do so. But as it goes, like the season happens and OU starts off with a big win against Michigan. They end up being, a good team, nothing to really write home about, but it was certainly a good step forward for OU in this team.
I mean, a lot of people are writing home about them now.
For different reasons.
Yeah. I got I'm going to do Through the Keyhole later on tonight when we jump off. We have a show topic that says simply, do we want to talk about Sharon Moore? And like, he's a former Oklahoma Sooner, so there's reason to do so. But it's like, man, that's veering into a level of sports talk that I don't want to get into because it's hard to laugh at. I don't really want to laugh.
There's going to be a lot more to the Michigan athletic department story.
I was just saying, that could be a rabbit hole that could just go on forever.
Yeah.
Really.
And, our hearts go out to his wife and children.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, like, again, for the first 5 seconds, it appeared to be kind of funny. There was a tweet that I thought was hilarious when it all went down, like the firing. It was, cheating on the field is okay at Michigan. Cheating off the field, you don't want to be doing that.
There.
Can't be doing that, but it is what it is, unfortunately. But with OU, obviously, you beat Michigan, you beat Auburn, and in two different ways in exciting fashion. John Mateer looks like, hey, this is your run-of-the-mill, typical, really good OU quarterback that can make plays with his feet, make plays with his passing. Whenever OU seemed to need a play against Michigan or Auburn, Mateer made those plays. And then he gets hurt. Then you go through is he going to play for Texas, against Texas? Is he not going to play against Texas? There's not a lot of confidence behind him in terms of Michael Hawkins Jr. You guys saw him a bit last year against Auburn, against Texas, and in the bowl game against Navy. A talented kid, but everybody understood if John Mateer doesn't play, like OU has zero chance. John Mateer at some level of health percentage gives OU a better chance. But as it would turn out, it really didn't matter because John Mateer was so comically bad. And as the season kind of has worn along, John Mateer looks like a quarterback who has the flaws that we all knew, like coming from Washington State, his sidearm release, inefficiency. He's got a gunslinger mentality. And when you're playing San Jose State, when you're playing Texas Tech, Boise State last year, you can get away with stuff like that. When you're playing teams that are basically all in the top 15, top 20 SP plus defense, and they've got dudes on the defensive line, dudes at linebacker, dudes in the secondary, you can't get away with it. So John Mateer bad in the Texas game. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that, he basically did kind of rush it back from surgery, back from being out for so long, and then just assuming that, this is how the movies go. Like the quarterback, the hero, like swoops in at the last second and saves the day. John Mateer would have struggled. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't want to be thrown into this camp of if John Mateer wasn't hurt, OU would have beaten Texas. I think OU would have had a much better chance at beating Texas if the injury didn't happen. But as it would turn out, John Mateer in the SEC in year one, at least, because I think it's pretty safe to assume he's going to return next year. But in year one of the SEC, quite the culture shock. I mean, the talent level is just different every single week. I mean, on OU schedule, it was Ole Miss and Tennessee and South Carolina. Like, hey, like these teams have statistically weaker defenses, and you still look at their rosters and it's like that guy's going to go to the NFL, that dude's going to go to the NFL. It's just different in this conference, as you all know. So you lose to Texas, bounce back with a road win at South Carolina, and then you bounce back with a very tough, heartbreaking loss against Ole Miss, where Ole Miss was just the better team. They made the plays in the first half that kept them at arm's length from OU. And then OU made a furious rally in the second half in the fourth quarter, and they just weren't able to make enough plays because of everything that transpired in the first half. And so you're kind of left with, hey, this team is definitely better than last year, but at Tennessee, at Alabama, Missouri, with how they're playing at the time, LSU, like, yeah, they fired their coach. They're having a bad season. Before they played OU, they were 7-5. Like, that just goes to show you how tough the SEC is, that a 7-5 team in the Big 12 of the ACC, those teams are probably thinking like, hey, like, we've got something here. After the loss to Ole Miss, it was just, this team is definitely better, but to what end? Like, what are we talking about here with Brent Venables, with where OU is in the pecking order in this conference? And then they just go out and win their last 4 games against Tennessee, against Alabama, against Missouri, against LSU. And in large part with John Mateer playing somewhat injured. I mean, everyone's playing hurt at this point in the year. I think mostly with John Mateer, it was twofold other than the like health. It was, like I'd mentioned, just absolute culture shock of like every team in this conference defensively, especially, is awesome. And the ego hit that he took. I mean, he talked about it to us like in different media availabilities during the season of, yeah, like I had to look myself in the mirror after the Texas game and realize I can rely on my teammates. And what he didn't want to say was, I couldn't do that at Washington State, or I couldn't do that in high school at Little Elm, Texas, where I'm the best player on the team. I have to make everything happen. At OU, you've got better talent around you. And so him navigating that, like, I'm not God, essentially, like in season, you could definitely tell like he would be tentative on some throws or some like quarterback keepers. There was a play particularly against Alabama near the goal line where you had a receiver streak open. John Mateer looks him dead in the eye, kind of wide open, and he just double clutches and says, I'm just going to eat it and take a no gain, because the last thing he wanted to do was turn the ball over. And when you have a player like John Mateer, you want him to be more risky. You want him to be able to take those chances because the risk reward is really high. But when they lack confidence, that's when you see like the 3 turnovers against Texas or the 3 turnovers against LSU. Unfortunately, against LSU, they were able to make it happen. And in the end, and now they're in the college football playoff. I said, excuse me, I said in the offseason, 9-3 is the standard that I'm going to hold this team to with their schedule, knowing that I don't think, and I was dead wrong on this, I don't think Ole Miss is going to be as good as they were last year. I don't think Tennessee is going to be as good as they were last year. I think that there's going to be some teams that kind of help OU schedule out just a little bit. And they proved me wrong. They went 10-2, and now they're in the college football playoff to play Alabama once again. And it's, it's fun to cover a team, to follow a team that is playing meaningful football this late in the season.
Yeah, and so we didn't have a chance to discuss it with you during the season. You actually just touched on it a minute ago, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But in terms of John Mateer's return, was there any kind of concern amongst Oklahoma fans that, man, this is too soon? Maybe we're risking like a more long-term injury to this guy?
Yeah. I mean, with how the injury was described, really the only concern was, I mean, not necessarily like he could re-break the hand. I mean, everybody has that fear. I mean, everybody that plays football, like, you could break this, you could tear this, but it wasn't necessarily an injury that, yeah, he could rush back and you could risk further injury. The concern was, I mean, how healthy is he going to be, especially with his throwing hand? Like how, like, what is his ability level? Can he still make the plays? When teams kind of understand, oh, he can't do this anymore. Does he have a pivot? And, like the Texas game was just really interesting. First half, OU played really well. They controlled the game. But there were just silly throws made by John Mateer. And I think it was just, I think that was just him realizing, Oh, I am kind of hurt. Those throws that were there against Michigan, against Auburn, that I was able to make in the second half of those games, I can't really make them right now. And he had to, like, in real time, okay, what can I do? Unfortunately for him, he's going up against Texas, and they've got a phenomenal defense in their own right in the Cotton Bowl. And that's not where you want to be figuring things out. You want to have things figured out prior to kickoff.
Right.
And as the game wore along, the defense, which ended up being one of the best units in the country, just didn't really have the confidence that if we get a stop here or a turnover here, our offense is going to do something about it. Like, it just got too far into the game that all it was going to take was Texas to go on one drive. And that's all they did. They went on one drive, aided by, I think, 2 third and long conversions where OU guys just flat out missed tackles in the open field. You credit Texas for making those plays. But they missed those plays. Texas scores their only offensive touchdown of the game, and that was it. That's all that they needed. And the shoe was on the other foot too. Like, OU, all they needed to do was just score a touchdown in that game the way it was going, and they just weren't able to do it because their quarterback was trying to understand, what can I get away with? And the loss was so bad. 3 turnovers, no touchdowns, nothing to write home about whatsoever. Just poor play. I think he got sacked 4 or 5 times, got his ass kicked. And you could just tell in his face, like, I don't know how to handle this because I've never experienced something like this. And I'll give him credit because, I've watched OU for 25 years. I've seen a handful of quarterbacks go into that game and crater, and then you never really hear from them again. Like, it's just, I just can't do this anymore. To his credit, he took the ego hit, turned into somewhat of a game managing quarterback while his hand and his knee healed up through the season as much as it could, and navigated OU to what, a 6-1 run to end the season, 10-2 overall, and getting into the college football playoffs. It's like, yeah, he's got a great defense to help him out, but what quarterback doesn't want that? So it could have been worse. It could have been much worse. Look at Auburn with Jackson Arnold, who, it's still silly to me that Hugh Freeze thought, oh yeah, Jackson Arnold was bad because of OU. It's like, did you watch him play? Okay, have fun being unemployed. It could be much worse, but to John Mateer's credit, like, he made it happen as much as he could.
Right. Well, sort of shifting our focus to the playoff game. What's the atmosphere around Norman in preparation for this playoff game? I'm sure it's a buzz with excitement right now.
Oh yeah, it's exciting. I don't know how many people I've talked to already that are like, yeah, I'm taking the day off. It's so weird that it's on a Friday, but it kind of adds to the lure of it, because I think OU's played. I know they played a lot of Friday games back in the old days. Like, that's when they would classically play OU Nebraska the Friday after Thanksgiving. So OU's not really immune to Friday games, but recently, I believe they played a Friday night game. No, Houston, they played on Sunday, but they've had like instances like this in recent history where they're the only game on that particular day. And it is kind of exciting. It's great that it's Alabama. I mean, I've always had the thought, it is because, again, this is what OU signed up for. Not to fully crap on the Big 12, but when you have to play Iowa State and you have to play Tech and you have to play Baylor and Kansas, look, like, every once in a while those programs will have good teams and good seasons. You rarely know that going into a season, like, so for instance, Kentucky's coming to Norman next year. They've been here once, I believe, in like 1980. I'm excited just to see, like, okay, Kentucky fans, what does that look like in Norman?
Right.
Very sad right now.
Hey, I mean, there might be some excitement with the new coach, but this is what OU signed up for, is to play like Alabama, to play Tennessee, Georgia. They got to go between the hedges next year in 2026. OU's not, like, this isn't me like pounding my chest, but just understanding the institution that is OU. Like, they're not afraid of any of these teams. They respect them and they see them as like, yeah, like, we're in that category that those teams are in, right, especially the fan bases and the passion that those fan bases have for their schools. It just, playing a game like this against a similar blue blood, against a similar institution with a fan base that cares about their school just as much as OU fans care about theirs. Like that's what they signed up for. So, I mean, yeah, is it Nick Saban, Alabama, Jesse? I mean, of course not, but like
But
that's
most
what's going to
programs,
happen.
I mean, at least now, right? Like Saban's been gone now, 2 seasons, but most programs are not who they were 2 seasons ago. You
Yeah.
look at, I mean, with the exception of like a Georgia, but you look at like a Tennessee or Auburn, and they're just not where they were. Just because football has changed. It's changed from traditional Nick Saban football to a very different pro style game. So no, I think playing Oklahoma is, and I know Bama fans won't like this because I don't like it. I wish we had someone easier, but I
Oh, yep,
think
yeah.
I think the argument, and I'm sure I'm getting ahead in the questions, but the argument was Alabama doesn't deserve to be there. A lot of people think that. They're very upset that we are in it over, a Notre Dame or someone else. But my thing is all right, we're in it. We play Oklahoma. They've beaten us once. If they beat the brakes off of us again, then you're absolutely right. We're done. We're out. And Oklahoma gets to walk into another round and we were beaten. And it's an easier ride for somebody else. It's fine. But I think it's on the other side. If we can beat Oklahoma, then we've kind of shown we've progressed, we've learned, and we deserve to be there because we've just beaten a team that we weren't able to beat before. And now we're able to progress. So I'm interested to see what Bama team shows up. Obviously, we looked terrible the past few games. Even the win against Auburn barely felt like a win. It just kind of was like, it still gave me the ick. But, I think Oklahoma had our number the first time, and now they might again if they continue to watch the past couple of games and pull film, or I guess not pulling film anymore. I don't know what you call it. Whatever.
We know what you mean.
YouTube.
Watch the videos, streaming
On your Microsoft Surface.
Yeah, whatever. Then it should be a relatively easy game for Oklahoma. I'm obviously very nervous to play in Norman because we didn't do great in Tuscaloosa.
When was the last time? When was the last time Bama and Oklahoma played in Norman?
Last year.
Last season.
Was it
Last
last
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
we
have
had
an
a
awful
home game
memory.
then.
Excuse me. I couldn't
not-
remember.
No, but
yeah.
I love that. I love that mentality though of and Kirby Smart says this to his players to get them up for big games. But it's like pressure is a privilege, right? To your point, Brady, talking about this is why we're here. This is why we joined the SEC to have games like this. But yeah, I mean that's the mentality that you want to have for sure.
And Nick Saban said it against, in the pre-game against Georgia for the SEC championship when everyone's like so tough to beat the same team twice in a season. But he was like, that only matters if it matters to you. If it doesn't matter to you, then it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter to anybody that's walking on that field. It just shouldn't. You should just approach it like any other game. So I imagine that's probably what Britt Venables is saying to his team. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
This is a new game.
It's a great segue into the next question, which is kind of a two-parter. But what, in your opinion, Brady, what's going to be the keys to victory over Bama? And will that old adage, obviously tough to beat a team twice the same season, is that of any concern? Do you think maybe Bama learned something from the last one that would make them more difficult this go around?
No, I mean, it is difficult to play the same team twice just because there should be no surprises except for when there is, because Alabama's going to say, we tried this against them and it flat out did not work, so scrap that. But these things kind of work, so let's see if we can kind of catapult off of that. So that would obviously be a surprise to Brent Venables and their defense and vice versa with the offense. But anytime you kind of fall down that rabbit hole as a fan, because that's what fans talk about. Any advantage you kind of talk yourself into your opponent having, well, you should have the same advantage yourself, because what you did 6 weeks ago that flat out didn't work. Maybe you can try to do something else. I mean, for OU, that was the game where they lost Xavier Robinson in everything but body, because he finished out the season, but that, like, against Alabama, he got hurt and he had a mummified leg, like against Missouri and LSU, and was just out there because OU didn't have another running back, because Torrey Blaylock was also hurt until he could kind of go out there against LSU a little bit as well. So these almost 3 weeks have been a godsend for guys like Xavier Robinson and Torrey Blaylock. So going into this game, I think a big key for OU is just Can you manufacture a traditional run game to essentially take all the pressure off of John Mateer? Because I do think that um, the whole turnovers are fluky conversation is silly to me because there are turnovers that are fluky. They're the ones that are just kind of tipped up in the air and they randomly fall into your hands. Like, yeah, that's a fluke. But what OU did to Alabama was just either they were more badass than them in that play, like the peanut punch on the punt, or they schemed it in that, okay, when Ty Simpson gets pressure in his face, he throws it to the field side or the boundary side. He just flat out throws it tries to throw it away, and they were ready for it. So in that same vein, can you expect that to happen again? Well, of course not. You're going to try to put your best foot forward. So that's why I think John Mateer needs to make plays in this game, but that's much easier if you have a traditional run game to lean on. So Xavier Robinson, Torrey Blaylock, like as a tandem, they're not like NFL studs or anything like that, but they were getting like 4 or 5 yards a pop when they had the thing rolling, basically from South Carolina, Ole Miss, the Tennessee game. Like they were a legitimate rushing offense. And if they can do that, it makes life much easier for John Mateer. I think overall, in terms of is it tough to beat a team twice? I mean, it's just tough to beat any good team. If you're playing a team twice in the season, it's because you are good and they are good. And OU has had a half dozen of these examples already just in the last 20, 25 years. I mean, the year they won the national championship, Kansas State was one of the top 5 teams in the country. And OU had to beat them in Manhattan and in the Big 12 championship to get to the national championship. This is not a new experience for them. Alabama, I think they've had a few like run-ins with like Florida twice in like the regular season and the SEC championship game. Georgia most recently with some national championship games kind of sprinkled in there as well as SEC title games. So
It happens. It seems like it happens a lot lately because Georgia did the same thing against Texas last year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's just again, it just means these are both two good teams. And Jesse, to what you were talking about earlier, that's just for fans that root for schools that want to not play in bowl games anymore. That's just for them to talk about. I mean, I'll admit, we were on air on Through the Keyhole, I think, and we were just like watching the college football rankings be revealed. And I went, whoa, when it was Alabama, because we were all just like, it's going to be Miami or Notre Dame for the last week going into that those rankings. And so just seeing Alabama again was like, oh, okay. All right, let's do it again. So
Yeah.
again, it's going to be an exciting atmosphere. It's what OU signed up for. I hope that there's a ton of Alabama fans there. I would hold no doubt that there will be because it's a proud fan base. And look, like Alabama's going through a transition right now. If you want to like take 1,000-foot view, but right now what matters is the micro view, and that's their game with Oklahoma. And it's two teams that both sides have so much motivation. I mean, like you said, Jesse, like people saying like, why is Alabama in this game? Like, why are they in the playoff over like X, Y, and Z? I mean, for ever since OU beat Alabama, people have had to like swim through, oh, well, Alabama outgained them by 200 yards, or oh, turnovers are fluky, just like hand waving their victory over them. So OU's done nothing but win since then, and they've just had nothing but like, okay, like keep, I guess, talking the win over Alabama. I guess it doesn't matter, but now they'll have to play them again. So maybe this time they can outgain them.
I think for Oklahoma, at the end of the season, everyone's struggling, right? Like people are getting hurt, everyone's tired, and that's with any team. I think now that they've been rested, they've had a chance to rest for a couple weeks, like 3 weeks at this point. And, Mateer, whether his injury was still bothering him or not, he still had time, rest, rehab, practice a little bit more, study a little bit more. And I imagine that's going to be an advantage for Oklahoma, right? Like Alabama didn't have that time to rest, had to play in the SEC championship, had a lot of people out in the SEC championship. Some of them may be back. I think Jam Miller was practicing today, but we had some key guys on defense that I don't think are going to be back. Looking back at the game against Oklahoma in Tuscaloosa, it was a defensive game. You look at Oklahoma's coach, that's no surprise there. But if I had to predict what I think may occur in this game. I don't know that there's going to be much of a ground game for either team. I just don't think there will be. I think we're both going to have to rely on passing from our quarterbacks, which for me makes me very nervous. I don't feel lovely about that.
You
And
should feel
I
unlovely.
I think it's going to be again a really big defensive game. And I really hope we don't get out coached this time, but I am nervous because Oklahoma has had more rest than we have. And I think that is going to be advantageous.
Yeah, the injuries that OU was dealing with, were more minor. Like I had mentioned, Xavier Robinson and Torrey Blaylock, like they needed just time off. Like you don't have to get hit today. Like the media was able to go view practice a little bit yesterday, and both backs looked like okay. Like I think Xavier was still wearing a brace on his knee. He played with one anyway, but they both looked okay. Like they look much different than the guys that were limping onto the field, like against Missouri or LSU. Like, okay, I'm out here. Please don't kill me. So they needed time off, and I think even for John Mateer, because yes, the hand injury. He did have a knee injury against Temple or Auburn. That Brent Venables kind of hinted at, like he specifically said, like, yeah, he's got a knee thing, but that was it. But there's no doubt that his running ability was hampered because he had been injured, like in the lower leg, just somewhere on his leg. So obviously, physically, that's going to be a big key for him to have just time off as well. But I also think he needed mental time off of just, okay, you don't have to play a top 10 defense this week. You don't have to play another top 10 defense the next week. You don't need to just not turn the football over or like don't suck. Like we're not asking you to just do not suck. I think that would bode well for, I mean, at least I think that would bode well for, I mean, me. Like if I'm in his shoes, having some time off is just like, okay, maybe just kind of lie to yourself and say, yeah, I am that badass. And you just kind of needed some time away from the game to prime up for, your opponent. And it happens to be Alabama, a team that you have some familiarity with. So I think it's a good spot for OU, but I think the other factor is Brent Venables' OU is, I think, 5-1 after a bye week. So essentially, whenever Brent has time to prepare for you, OU seems to do very well. And two of those wins, I believe, are against Alabama. I think the one last year came right after a bye week, if I'm not mistaken. They lost to Missouri. I can't remember if they had a bye week afterwards. But at the same time, Kalen DeBoer's had, an extra time to prep for OU because when these teams first met, Bama had to go play LSU. LSU's not good, but that's an emotional game that both schools get up for, and LSU kind of outplayed themselves in that game and had some chances. And then Alabama had to pivot to play a hungry team in OU. So, I mean, again, like any advantage you talk yourself into that either team has, the other team has the same advantage too.
Yep.
And you guys talking about injury and attrition. You think that's bad now? You wait till a 9-game conference schedule next year.
OU has a bye week the week before OU Texas, and then they play 7 or 8 games straight after that. It's like, oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that 9-game stretch is going to be really fun, but also really bad because there's a lot. I mean, the grind of the SEC schedule, and I know that if there's any Big Ten people or Notre Dame people out there, you probably think, "Oh, the Big." Shut up, sit down. The SEC schedule's rough. I mean, even when you look at the teams that are on the rise, like Missouri could beat anybody any week. Vanderbilt obviously had the season they did. Kentucky will occasionally sneak up on somebody.
Florida beat Texas.
You got to be careful.
And
Florida
fired
beat
their
Texas.
coach.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
right,
even next year, I mean, OU plays 4 teams with new coaches, one of them being Michigan. They don't have their coach yet, but they'll play Michigan, Kentucky, Florida with John Summerall. Who was the other team that just got a new coach? I always forget who the 4th team is, but all that to say, any one of those teams could just randomly be good. It would be a surprise to everybody. But when you look at the schedule as it is now, it's like, okay, new coach, new coach, new coach, new coach. That should be a win. But what if John Summerall knocks it out of the park at Florida? Suddenly that
No,
game becomes
don't
so
put
much
that
better.
voodoo in the ether, Brody. Don't you say
Or okay,
that.
okay, maybe Will Stein does at Kentucky, like because
That's fine.
yeah,
Thank
that's the
you. You could
that,
say that.
that's the
But that's
week.
the thing, because it's not just new coaches. With the way the transfer portal is, you could have a whole new team
Yeah.
you've never
I
seen
don't
before.
listen. My mental health can't handle resurgent Florida. Although Tennessee doesn't have to play them next year anymore, which is weird, but
So,
still.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been was it 5 out of the 16 teams in the SEC got new coaches? It was either 4 or 5. I lost count.
Uh,
Let's see, it was
LSU,
Alex
Kentucky,
Golesh to
Kentucky.
Auburn, Ryan Silverfield to Arkansas, John Summerall to Florida, Lane Kiffin to LSU, obviously, and then subsequently Pete
Pete
Golding
Golding. That's who
to
I
Ole
was
Miss,
forgetting. Pete Golding at Ole Miss.
and then not to be left out, Kentucky and Will Stein. So, yeah,
will Beamer keep his job? Who
I
knows?
don't
I'm
know.
surprised. I'm surprised he
Eh,
like. I keep wanting to say South Carolina because whenever I bring that topic up, I always forget the fourth team, and my brain says South Carolina. Duh, they blew a
Right?
30-point lead. Oh no, Shane Beamer's still there. Okay, okay.
Still there.
He's not going anywhere
Yeah, we
yet.
said expectations were low for that job, but we also said expectations were low for Kentucky, and we saw what they did with Stoops. Of course, it took them what
Wow.
13 years to do that. But
Well,
still,
to be
They had some
fair,
good years in there.
they had a couple good years
they
about
did.
5 or 6 years
I
ago.
I still can't believe that he outlived Calipari at Kentucky. I just never would have thought that.
That's
Right.
wild. That's so wild. Uh,
So not trying to give too much away here because we want people to watch your show through the keyhole, Brady. But how are you and your colleagues like when you guys talk about the upcoming game? What's the consensus amongst y'all?
There's confidence. I mean, just from the very basic standpoint of we watched this team beat Alabama, less than a month ago. So like there should be, I mean, as much as you can as a fan, like there's no fear or anything. And
Right.
with respect, Jesse, to your team, your squad, I think when people talk about Alabama, I think sometimes, and I understand why, like they won 7 national championships in like just over a decade. But I think some people just lazily still see them as Alabama, like
Mhm.
the unstoppable juggernaut. Like if OU was playing a Nick Saban Alabama team, like I don't know about beating them twice. Like that's a different story. This is the best, greatest head coach in college football history, bar none. And they don't have that. They've got a very good coach. These are 2 very good coaches that know what they want to do, that are excellent at what they do best, that are great at leading teams and building programs. Like they've done that. Like at least with Brent Venables' case, he's done that on the defensive side at multiple institutions. Now he's starting to build a resume at OU, building up this program. There's confidence. And I think on the micro level, what we were talking about earlier in terms of the time off, the getting healthy from the guys that OU needed to get healthy, and they weren't guys that they might be good in a month. Because the other big key factor here is we've not seen our Mason Thomas since his 71-yard scoop and score against Tennessee. Perhaps the most important play of OU's November run against
mm,
Tennessee, Bama, and
mm.
Missouri and LSU. And that's all he needed to do because he didn't play against Alabama. He didn't play against Missouri or LSU. But he looked pretty damn spry and healthy at practice yesterday. So I expect him to be a key factor in the game. But as well, against Alabama, it's going to be, Jaden Jackson at defensive line. That's a dude that played, I think, 18 or 19 snaps, and that was a surprise going into the game that, wait, he's a game time decision? He's one of OU's best players. That's not a good thing. He's going to be healthier. So, again, like there's confidence, but if, God came down and said, OU will win, it wouldn't shock us. If he said Alabama will win, it wouldn't shock us because that's just what these teams are.
Mhm.
Do you have a score prediction for us?
It's the biggest home game in school history. And it's simply because this is a program that has had to play Miami in the Orange Bowl for a national championship or LSU in the Sugar Bowl for a national championship. And Jesse, I know Alabama beat them, but they were conference rivals and they had already played each other. When OU's playing them in the Sugar Bowl, it's like, what culture shock. It's like, oh, this is not a neutral site by any means. Their biggest rivalry game every year is played at a neutral site in Dallas, but it's during the Texas State Fair on the Texas State Fairgrounds. You know where you are when
Yeah.
you go to that game, and it's not Oklahoma. So it's not the most friendly of confines. So this is a program that has had to go out of their way and prove it in other people's backyards for the better part of 70, 75 years. And so to have a game of this magnitude be in your own stadium is just completely foreign to OU. And it's because of that. And plus, like, it's Alabama, and you would have felt this way if it was Notre Dame as well. Not so much Miami, but Alabama, Notre Dame, any one of those schools, like, it just adds to the, yeah, this is the biggest game in home game, at least in school history. And I think because of that, with the time off that we talked about for the running backs, R. Mason Thomas coming back, Jaden Jackson being better at full health, and then, of course, John Mateer just having some time away from football. Maybe he can recapture some of that September magic. I think there's also the little factor of when the media was at practice today, he didn't have the brace on his hand that he's been playing with for the last 2 months. And whenever we've talked to him after practice, he has it on. So it wasn't just like, oh, I don't wear it during practice. So maybe that means something in terms of his health. I think because of that, sorry, Jesse, Bama just looks like a beaten up team that's kind of limping to the finish line. And I think OU's going to put them down 34-17.
Okay.
I would buy that. I would buy that. I also love what you said about it being in Norman and it being such a big game, because the top 4 that have the bye, they should have it in their stadiums.
I know.
They should have home games.
It's almost like we should play all of these games at home stadiums and then rotate the national championship between the big bowls. But no,
Yeah.
let's throw it in a corporate NFL stadium. Everybody's going to love that.
And we only have 1 year to go by with this, so maybe it's a little silly. I don't think a bye week is an advantage because
No.
Indiana
It
is going to play
definitely wasn't.
Indiana is going to play the winner of this game. So whoever wins this game, OU or Alabama, they're going to be like, we just beat Alabama, or we just went into Norman and beat Oklahoma. Who are you, Indiana? It's like, no disrespect to Indiana. They are a very good team and they've proven it. But they have to play the winner of this game. So I don't see it as an advantage like that you see it on paper, because everybody has like time off to some extent, whether you play in your conference championship game or not. So you get your time off, but then you have an extra week off while your opponent is gaining confidence, and then they roll into that game just going like, who are you? We just had to go through hell. Like, what are you talking about?
And it didn't help anybody last year.
It was the kiss of death last year.
It's
0-4.
probably going to be the kiss of death again this year.
I think so. I think as the committee, after we're done, we've named a national champion, they get together and they're like, hey, look, let's pick some like 3 sustains and 3 improves. I think one of the improves, obviously we get rid of that, Power 5 conference.
I told y'all last week what we need to do. But dust off the BCS computer and bring that thing back out. Go 16 teams and let's roll it. Let's roll through.
Yeah, we gotta fix the fact that. Sorry, James Madison. I'm sorry, Tulane. You're doing great, sweetie. You're doing great. We gotta fix that.
Boat raced.
All right, we gotta fix that, and then we just let them have it at home. Let them have it at home. Stop doing a bye. Let's have it at home.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, let's be real. Georgia's probably going to end up playing Ole Miss again because it's Ole Miss and Tulane playing each other, and we all know what happened last time that happened. So
I'm telling y'all, everybody, watch out for Ole Miss because they are big mad.
Well,
big mad.
Like you just said,
every right to
they're gonna
super pissed.
They're gonna get that win. I'm sure they're gonna roll over Tulane. Their confidence is gonna be up, rolling up against Georgia, and then I mean, who knows? I mean,
yeah.
So
if you're playing Ole Miss, God bless you and your family.
They're good. I think that they're the best team in the SEC, even though they lost straight up to Georgia. Because the way the OU game was going against Ole Miss, it was kind of following the same script. Ole Miss kind of dominated the first 3 quarters against Georgia, and then they just couldn't hold on in the fourth. The better team won. It was kind of going that way in Norman, and then OU fumbled a punt, and they just could not recover that deep in the fourth quarter. Trinidad Chambliss, he's the dude. Like they are good, and I still Lane Kiffin going to LSU. Like, dude, you can be a troll and win 8 or 9 or 10 games at Ole Miss, and you're fine.
Yes.
If you win 8 games at LSU and troll your ass around on the podium, you will get laughed out of that town so quickly. So,
Fire.
I mean, for him, I hope it works out, but I don't know.
Well, let's be honest. The drama is always going to be ongoing with Lane, no matter where he goes. So expect to see more. So, um, did you guys have any questions for Brady before I ask
Matt,
the last
ask
one here?
it. I see the note. Ask it.
Okay, so I have made it abundantly clear what my opinions are of that giant hunk of junk that the New York Athletic Club gives out every year. But Heisman's out. Fernando Mendoza ends up winning. The whole Diego Pavia nightclub scene stuff, Brady. I would like to know what's your angle here. What do you think about this year's Heisman shenanigans?
Oh, man, it's sad. Like I feel like the Heisman just turns into something that we all loved when we were younger, when we were kids. And unless your school has a player that's involved, it's one of those things that you just have on the TV and you have it on mute or it's just in the background. I
Mm-hmm.
assumed Fernando Mendoza was going to win. I didn't really buy any of the Diego Pavia. Like he just looks like a Heisman winner because he's kind of a trash talker and whatever. I'm like, well, if they would have beaten Alabama or Texas, any one of those games, I think he probably could have sealed the deal, but he didn't. Just because he's made Vanderbilt good, which is a great accomplishment,
Hmm?
that you don't deserve the Heisman just as is. Look, athletes are wired differently than most normal people, so I understand that you need to have a supreme level of confidence, but it's also not hard to kind of carry yourself, how to like be a professional, especially, you know, they're not really kids anymore. They're all professional athletes in
Especially
some way,
him. Isn't
shape, or
he
form.
like 26 or something like that?
Yeah, they're
Before.
they're professional athletes because they're getting paid to play college football, and if they fancy themselves great at what they do, then they're gonna go to the NFL. And it's like, my man, like you cannot act like that and be a pro. I mean, you just can't. So,
I don't know about all that, Brady. Now, the Jets have been making a lot of news about maybe going after him in the first round.
that's the New York Jets, though.
Oh,
Remind
can
me.
you
Yeah.
imagine him
Do
up
you?
there all the time? Oh man.
I'm a,
Uh,
I'm a
that
Miami Dolphins fan, so
Broadway Pavia.
there's at least a team that's
do
worse
not
than
put
us.
Broadway in front of his name. Absolutely not. Take that away. That is reserved for one man. Absolutely not.
Saying it could
And he cannot pull off
happen.
a fur coat, I assure you. Uh, no. And he's not 6 foot. Every girl ever, every
Yeah,
woman
yeah.
out there knows. We could have told y'all that. Okay.
Well,
We know the difference
Will, who
between
was
6'1" and
our Vandy
6'3".
guest, said that he stood next to him. He's like, he's not 6 foot.
No. If he's 6 foot, I'm 6 foot. Okay. But I'm telling you, every woman out there, we know the difference in height. We can tell you 6'3" and 6 foot. We can tell you 5'11" and 6'4". We know that man is 5'8".
Either one person is lying about their height, or three
Or three
people
people
are
are
lying about their height.
Yeah.
The
Sorry, Brady.
availability,
Did
the
we cut you off
availability,
there? I don't know if
no,
you're.
no, no. I was just gonna say the availability report just dropped for OU and Alabama. I don't really know if there's any surprises, Jesse, but like the players that are out,
Mhm.
Beeman, Kevin Riley, LT Overton. I think one of your coaches mentioned that he was not going to play
Yeah.
already today. Drake Kirkpatrick, Latham, and Cameron Howard, and then questionable is the tight end Cuevas and Danny Lewis Jr. I think importantly for Oklahoma, R. Mason Thomas isn't even listed on the report at all. So he's like full go or like at least anywhere from a pitch count to a full go. And then Jake Michaela, OU starting center, is questionable. He missed the LSU game, which forced OU's right guard Fabechi Wiwu to go over and play center for the first time in his life. Michaela had an infection, or like I don't know if it was staph, but he had something that was actually kind of scary,
Oh God.
and he looked a tad bit skinnier yesterday at practice. So we'll see with him, but I mean, you don't really want to go into a playoff game with your right guard playing center, but questionable seems to be a good little, okay, like he's going to be able to practice and probably give it a go for OU
I
on
hope
Friday.
Cuevas is back. Good God, I hope he's back.
Yeah,
He's good. He's good.
Please.
obviously we're nearing the end of the season, and so to kind of pivot a little bit, can you give us a way too early take on what Oklahoma is going to look like next year? Obviously, you mentioned Mateer will very likely
Yeah.
be back.
Yeah, I don't think the NFL is going to come calling anytime soon.
Yeah.
Uh, I wrote something for Sooners on SI last week, and it was just about like if you've given up hope on John Mateer, like here's essentially like a legitimate reason why you don't have to. And a lot of it went into, there's been a handful of quarterbacks that have transferred into this conference in the last 5, 6, 7 years and had like average to awful first years. And especially first years that gave you no impression that this guy was going to win a Heisman or that this guy was going to engineer the best quarterbacking season in college football history. So sometimes you just need to like, oh, this is different. This is actually like what they say on the commercials. It's actually true. It does mean more. And you need that kind of trial by fire and then an off season to really understand what you need to get better at. And so those great ones, they put in the time, they put in the work, and then they become Joe Burrow or they become Jackson Dart or Jaden Daniels at LSU. So like there's at least a pathway for John Mateer to put this season behind him, have the experience that he had, and be a much better quarterback than he was this year. And if that be the case, then OU projects to be pretty damn good next year because Brent Venables' defense is going to be good. They're going to be able to probably keep a lot of these. Like this team is going to have a lot of guys returning unless NIL madness surprises some people in the offseason. They project to have a lot of guys come back. They're excited about some guys coming in just like every other school is. But I think the big unknown is just kind of what we teased out a little bit earlier. It's just there's 4 new head coaches on OU's schedule. They've got a September, October slate where they go to Michigan, then they play like New Mexico, then they go to Georgia, then they have a bye week, and then they go to the Cotton Bowl to play Texas. Like that is you're going to find out how good or bad John Mateer is very quickly next year. And then they have to go through the gauntlet of having 8 consecutive games in conference with, a game at the Swamp or a game in Columbia against Missouri at the end of the season. So it's going to be tough. And Brent's only been the coach at OU now for 4 years, and he's done this 6-7, 10-3, 6-7. Now he's 10-2. So he's not been able to really sustain success that often from season to season. But at least this year, he checked a lot of boxes for me. Like he answered some questions like, this is your biggest game of your career, Brent. Like great OU coaches of the past win this game. They don't lose it. And he answered those questions emphatically. So they project well, but it's a crapshoot with the transfer portal, with NIL, with this conference being so damn good. It's just really a crapshoot to find out who's actually going to be good because Texas is a good team and they're on the outside looking into the playoff. Tennessee was playing really well. They were they were going to be a playoff team. Then OU beat them in their own house, and that kind of made them go the opposite direction. Had OU lost that game, they probably lose to Alabama, and they probably drop 1 of 2 to Missouri or LSU. That's just how these things work out. So it's really hard to guess these things, but they have the makings of being a pretty good team. I thought that they're a year away going into this season. They're a year away from being pretty good, and they just went ahead and said, let's just be good now. So who knows?
Right. You guys have anything else for Brady? All right. Well, where can everybody find you guys on the social media?
Yeah, it's at Keyhole Pod on Twitter. We've got a Facebook page as well. So just type in Through the Keyhole if you want some OU funny stuff. We got a Patreon page, patreon.com/the keyhole. We just started doing live streams on YouTube, which is both scary and fun. But all that means is I have to do my hair before we do a podcast now.
Feel bad.
But yeah, like we've got 4 people: Peyton Guthrie, Matt Burton, Alan Kenny, myself. So we make it happen as much as we can.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, thanks for being on the show. We're looking forward to watching the playoff game this weekend, and hope you guys have a good show tonight as well.
Awesome, guys.
Hope our fans are good visitors. We'll talk after the game.
They were great visitors last year, so thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Brady.
Have a good one, Brady. All right. Always fun talking to Brady. He's got great perspectives, insights, and even more so because it's big playoff game coming up. So I'm pretty excited about that. So
Must be nice to have a team in the playoff.
I'm sorry, Matt. I'm sorry.
It's
But,
okay. We got in there last year.
that's right. And, who knows? Things are looking up for next year. You'll probably have an improved defense. So, who knows?
I've heard that guy takes a year or two to get his defense installed. So we'll see. It is what it is.
Yeah. All right. Well, that actually does it for this episode because we've talked about our previews and had our fun interview. But if you guys would like to contact us, please email us at pigskinsandpeasantry@gmail.com. We are at Pigskins and Peasantry on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And we're at PPSEC Podcast on Twitter. We're available for download pretty much everywhere out there. You can catch your podcasts for iPhone, Android, other operating systems. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and review. We love those 5 stars and increase our likelihood of having wonderful conversations with wonderful people like yourselves. So until next time, it's going to be an exciting couple of weeks here. This is Wes. Go Dogs.
Alabama, please, dear God, prove me wrong. I would love nothing more. Roll Tide.
All I want for Christmas is some chaos in the CFP and a Tennessee bowl game win. That's all I want. Go Vols.